All right, guys. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start talking about lesson two for this note packet, which is all on reflections. So yesterday we talked about dilations, right? Zooming in or out of an object or a shape in order to make it a dilation. Today we're going to be talking about reflections. So when we talk about reflections, I like to think about SpongeBob making Krabby Patties. Corny analogy, but it always helps me out. Okay, so if you ever watched SpongeBob as a kid, you remember SpongeBob always made Krabby Patties. In order to make the perfect Krabby Patty, SpongeBob always had to flip the Krabby Patty over so both sides cooked. Well, today in math, we're going to be talking about reflections. When we talk about reflections, what we're basically doing is taking an object and flipping it over the x or the y axis. The object is the same exact thing, we're just flipping it like a Krabby Patty. All right? So it says a reflection is a transformation in which a figure is reflected or flipped over a line called the reflection or called the line of reflection. So we can either have two situations occur. Either our image or our object is going to flip across the x-axis or our image will flip across the y-axis. So as a reminder, if I were to give you the ordered pair 2, 4, 2 is my x and y is my 4, right? This x is always how many you go left or right, and the y is how many you go up or down. Well, down here it says multiply the y coordinate by -1 if we're trying to reflect across the x. So here what you're going to see is it's kind of opposite, right? If we're trying to reflect across our x-axis, we're going to multiply the y by -1. So here's my original shape. All right, we've got triangle ABC. So if you go in and graph ABC, here's A -2, 1. Here's B at 2, 4. Here's C at 4, 2. I connect my dots and see, hey, here's my triangle ABC. Well, they want me to flip it over the x-axis. To flip it, what we're going to do, here's my x, we're flipping it over, right? So we're going to multiply all of my y's in this situation by -1 and keep my x the same. When I do that, this 1 becomes a -1, this 4 is a -4, this 2 is a -2, and then you're going to see that A prime, B prime, and C prime all have the same x, but the y is just multiplied by -1. Same thing here, if I were to have a triangle ABC with these coordinates, all right, and we wanted to flip it over the y-axis, we're going to actually multiply the x by -1, all right? So you're going to see they multiply this 2 by -1, this 4 by -1, and this 5 by -1. So you're going to notice in both of these, they said point B is 4 units above the x-axis. So we see that right here. Well, B prime is 4 units below the x-axis. We're just taking this object and flipping it. Same thing here. It says point C is 5 units to the right of the y-axis, and C prime is 5 units to the left of the y-axis. So we know we flipped that over, all right, or reflected that over my y-axis. Let's go ahead and try this one on our own. It says draw a triangle ABC with vertices -1, or sorry, 1, -1. So I'm going to go over 1, down 1. 3, 2. So I'm going over 3, up 2. So here's A, B, and then C is at 4, -3. 4, -1, 2, 3. If I graph that, my points look like this. They say then find the coordinates of the vertices with the image of a reflection over the y-axis. So I know because we're reflecting over the y, I need to multiply my x by -1. So multiply my x by -1. So that means A prime would be -1, -1. We're keeping that y the same. B prime would be -3, +2. And C prime would be -4, -3. I'm going to go in and graph these points. So A prime is at -1, -1. A prime. B prime is at -3, 1, 2, 3, +2. Here's B prime. And C prime is at -4, -3. I'm going to go ahead and graph these points. And there is my triangle that has been reflected or flipped over the y-axis. Let's go ahead and try this one. It says draw triangle ABC with the vertices -1, 3. So here's A. B is at 2, 4. And C is at 4, 1. Connect your points. They want me to flip that over the, or reflect that over the x, so I'm going to multiply y by -1. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So my A prime will be -1, -3. B prime will be 2, -4. And C prime will be 4, -1. Going and graph -1, -3. Here's A prime. B prime is at 2, -4. And C prime is at 4, -1. If I graph that, here is my triangle reflected over the x-axis. All right, so these are the notes today. Go ahead and do your lesson 2 homework and then check out the homework calendar for what you need to do next.